1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavela and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The President stressed the need to modernize Sri Lanka's outdated film corporation using modern technology. The 2024 voters list will be on display after the 9th of April. Special arrangements have been made to protect the consumers during the upcoming festive season. A special security arrangement is in place covering all the churches island-wide. Rail services will be back to normal by tomorrow. It is expected to lower the electricity tariffs after implementing the Mannar wind power project. Foreign news: UN observes wounded by shelling in southern Lebanon. And in sports, Sri Lanka is in a strong position on the second day of the second test against Bangladesh. President Ranil Wickremesinghe outlined plans to modernize Sri Lanka's outdated film corporation using modern technology. He was speaking at the 20th Raigam Tele Awards ceremony held in Colombo yesterday. This transformation aims to turn it into a film and teledrama industry's development company. The President stressed the importance of providing foreign training opportunities to artists and production designers to keep them updated with the latest technological advancements, highlighting the need for embracing modern innovations in these industries. Additionally, President Wickremesinghe acknowledged the integration of artificial intelligence technology in the global film sector and promised government support for the production of Sri Lanka's inaugural AI-powered film in the future. Election Commissioner Samantri Ratnayaka says that the 2024 voters list will be on display after the 9th of April. Names of the new voters and those removed from the list in the concerned electorate have been clearly mentioned. This list will be displayed in the Gramanildari offices and the website of the Election Commission. The Commission requests the citizens to apply if their names are not mentioned after the 9th of April within 28 days. The Consumer Affairs Authority has implemented a special arrangement to protect the consumers during the festive season. Director Asela Bandara told the National Radio that officials of the authority have been engaged to observe its activities island-wide. Steps will also be taken to consumers and the businessmen. Legal action will be taken against those who sell commodities at higher prices by misleading the consumers. Display of the price of commodities has been made compulsory. The director said that such complaints may be reported to the hotline number 1977. IGP Deshbandhu Tennakoon has advised all officers in charge of all the police stations to implement special security arrangements in view of the Easter Sunday church services. Accordingly, this arrangement will be implemented in 1,873 churches island-wide. More than 6,500 police officials have been deployed, along with more than 3,000 STF personnel and the 3 armed forces. Meanwhile, officials of the Police Special Task Force were able to recover mobile phones and other components from a detainee of the Boosa High Security Prison. They have been recovered under the emergency operation of the Yukti operation. These gadgets have been kept very secretively in his bag. 3 persons suspected to be preparing for a crime have also been arrested. A firearm, live cartridges and sharp weapons have also been recovered from their possession. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Rail services in the coastal line will be back to normal by tomorrow. According to the Department of Railways, the train services were disturbed due to the maintenance work in the rail tracks between Vallavatta and Colombo Fort railway stations. About 25 train services were cancelled during the past few days. According to the General Manager Railways, MJ Indipolage, around 20 train services will be cancelled today in the coastal track. The Mannar wind power project, one of the largest green energy projects of the country, is expected to lower electricity tariffs in the country. This 250 megawatt project with state-of-the-art turbine design with highest ever onshore capacity of 5.2 megawatts will enhance the power capacity considerably with high generation, high reliability, low maintenance and low noise. The overall savings to the nation will be over $60 million by displaying high-cost fuel-based tariffs. According to the Adani Group Mannar project, will be beneficial to Sri Lanka. This will also be a boost to the country's commitment to generate 100% of its energy requirement by 2050. Apart from lowering wind energy generation, it will also foster closer economic ties between India and Sri Lanka. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena wrapped up his 6-day official visit to China yesterday with a firm assurance from Beijing on further aid for Sri Lanka and debt restructuring. China also pledged to provide 2,000 more smart classrooms to schools island-wide, in addition to the 1,000 pledged on their earlier occasion. Prime Minister Gunawardena arrived in Beijing on the 25th of March and held extensive talks with President Xi Jinping and his Chinese counterpart Premier Li Qiang, focusing on the economic crisis, debt restructuring, and other bilateral and regional issues. The Premier also participated in the Boer Forum, a significant international gathering. The Prime Minister's visit followed an official visit to China by President Ranil Wickremesinghe in October last year, where he held bilateral talks with President Xi Jinping and other Chinese leaders. The Prime Minister, who conveyed the best wishes extended by President Wickremesinghe to the Chinese leadership, regularly briefed the President by phone on the progress of talks in the Chinese capital. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
Watch Live is brought to you by
CIB New Year offer. Valuable gifts and gift vouchers. 25% discount for bank cards till 10th of April. Visit CIB today. CIB revives once always.
In Watchlight this afternoon, the Met Department issuing a heat index warning says that the temperature felt on human body is expected to increase up to caution level at some places in the western, northwestern, north central, northern and southern provinces and in the Ratnapura, Mondagara and Trincomalee districts. The Met Department advises to stay hydrated and take breaks in the shade as often as possible at job sites. It also says to check up on the elderly and the sick at indoors. Never leave children unattended inside vehicles. The Met Department also says to limit strenuous outdoor activities, find shade and stay hydrated. And that came to you in Watchlight.
CIB New Year offer. Valuable gifts and gift vouchers. 25% discount for bank cards till 10th of April. Visit CIB today. CIB revives once always.
Coming up, World News.
The headlines first. The UN observes the wounded by shelling in southern Lebanon. 7 dead after car bomb tears through market in Syria. Peru President Dina Boluarte home raided in search for Rolex watches. 3 United Nations observers and a translator have been wounded by shelling in Rameh, southern of Lebanon, the UN peacekeeping mission said. Lebanon state news agency reported that an Israeli drone strike was behind the explosion, but the Israeli military denied it was responsible. The UN mission, UNIFIL, said those hurt were receiving treatment and that it was investigating the blast's origin. It comes after rising tensions along the unofficial Israel-Lebanon border. In a statement, UNIFIL said a shell had exploded near the group who had been on a foot patrol along the UN demarcated blue line that divides southern Lebanon from Israel. At least 7 people have been killed in a car bombing which targeted a busy market in northern Syria. Several more were injured in the attack in the town of Azaz in Aleppo province near the Turkish border. It is unclear who carried out the attack in the town, which is run by pro-Turkish militia fighting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Turkish forces said their proxies control large areas of Syria along the border the two countries share. When the bomb went off, the market was busy with shoppers buying new clothes for their children ahead of Eid al-Fitr, which marks the end of the Islamic fasting month of Ramadan next month. The White Helmets, a volunteer rescue group which operates in Syria, said 2 children were among the dead. Police in Peru have raided President Dina Boluarte's home as part of a corruption inquiry dubbed Rolex Gate. Authorities were searching for more than a dozen of Rolex watches President Boluarte had allegedly not declared. The investigation began after a news report drew attention to luxury watches she wore at public events dating from when she took office in December 2022. Peru's government described the raid on Saturday as disproportionate and unconstitutional. The political noise that is being made is serious, affecting investments and entire country. Peruvian Prime Minister Gustavo Adrianzan wrote on X, formerly Twitter, the government controller announced earlier this month it would review Mr. Boluarte's asset declaration from the past 2 years. Speaking last week, Ms. Boluarte insisted she entered government with clean hands and that she would leave it with clean hands. Back to the headlines of the world news. UN observes wounded by shelling in southern Lebanon. 7 dead after car bomb tears through market in Syria. Peru President Dina Boluarte's home raided in search of Rolex watches. And that ends world news.
Development News.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said that the much talked about recent VAT increase, electricity tariff revision and increase in food prices have not had a negative impact on inflation, and it was curtailed at around 5%. He said that inflation is expected to remain in the 4 to 5% range in the next 6 months as well. Inflation for the first 2 months of 2024 indicates that the impact of the value-added tax amendments on inflation may not be as large as initially envisaged due to the recent downward revision of the electricity tariff and the moderation in food prices. Although food inflation accelerated on a year-on-year basis in February 2024, a month-on-month deflation was recorded reflecting easing of food prices. And that was development news.
Moving on with sports news.
On to sports news, it's cricket. Today is the second day of the second test between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. The match is now being played in Chattogram, Bangladesh, and batting first. After winning the toss, Sri Lanka were 445 for 6 wickets after 133 overs in their first innings a short while ago. It is significant that 5 out of 6 batsmen in the lineup were able to score half centuries. Sri Lanka won the first match handsomely and leaves the second match series 1-0 at present. Meanwhile, Netmi Senaratne stroked a fine knock of 51 in 48 balls with 7 fours as Sri Lanka under-19 women's team recorded a thrilling 6 runs win over England in their Tri-Nations T20 fixture at the Mahinda Rajapaksa International Stadium yesterday. Sri Lanka Lancers put up a spirited display to win after making 128 for 7 and restricted England to 122 for 7 in 20 overs. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A British insurance marketplace said the collapse of a bridge in the US city of Baltimore will result in the largest single marine insurance loss ever. 6 people were presumed dead after a ship crashed into the bridge and divers recovered 2 bodies. Experts say the damages could cost as much as $3 billion. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. A recently knighted AI millionaire has told the BBC that parents tearing their hair out over children spending hours gaming should instead be encouraging their creative use of tech. Sir Demi Hasabi said they should be encouraged to create and program. The co-founder and boss of Google's DeepMind himself grew up playing chess and gaming. Google bought his firm for a reported £400 million in 2014. Sir Demi told BBC Radio 4's Today that gaming helped him to become successful. He said children will have to be ready to be very adaptable in what will be a very fast-changing world and just embrace that adaptability. Sir Demi, a child chess prodigy, designed and programmed multi-million-selling game called Theme Park in his teens before going to Cambridge University. After graduating, he found a video game firm, completed a PhD in neuroscience, and then co-founded DeepMind in London in 2010, which he subsequently sold to Google. On Thursday, he posted X saying he was delighted to receive the knighthood for services to AI, and that was economic news.
Weather report.
Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the western, southern, Sabaragamu and Uva provinces after 2 p.m. Fairly heavy showers, about 50 millimeters, are likely at some places. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the northwestern, central provinces and in Mana and Vaunia district in the evening or night. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the central, Sabaragamu, Uva and western provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura district during the morning. Well, that was the weather report, and prior to concluding this news broadcast, the headlines again. The President stressed the need to modernize Sri Lanka's outdated film corporation using modern technology. The 2024 voters list will be on display after the 9th of April. Special arrangements have been made to protect the consumers during the upcoming festive season. A special security arrangement is in place covering all the churches island-wide. Rail services will be back to normal by tomorrow. It is expected to lower the electricity tariffs after implementing the Mana wind power project. Foreign news, UN observes wounded by shelling in southern Lebanon. And in sports, Sri Lanka is in a strong position on the second day of the second test against Bangladesh. Well, with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And let me take this opportunity to wish Sonal and all the listeners a blessed Easter.